The President of the Caribbean Broadcasting Union, Mr. Gary Allen, members of the Board of Directors of the CBU, Acting Secretary General of the CBU, Mrs. Hilda Cox-Bullen, CBU Hall of Famers, members of the union, fellow speakers and panelists, ladies and gentlemen, a very pleasant good morning to all. It is indeed an honor and privilege to deliver this keynote address at your 52nd General Assembly. The Caribbean Broadcasting Union, which I will designate CBU going forward, like the Caribbean Development Bank, equally designated CDB, was founded in 1970 as one of the key organs of regional integration. Having therefore passed the symbolic and significant half-century mark, the CBU can, like us at the CDB, contemplate its evolution and the lessons that could anchor its role over the next 50 years. Mr. Chair, you just said 52, but we can use 50 as a reasonable number. So like at the CDB, I think that contemplation can re-energize your resolve to realize the key objectives of your mandate, which is promoting a free and active media industry that upholds standards and policies and contributes to regional integration through the provision of reliable information. At the risk of losing the opportunity for a punchline, let me state a few key themes that I believe would be suggested by a reflection on our past and potential future. First, development is a holistic concept. To discover and find apt solutions, we have to focus on the internal integrity of the development ecosystem, ensuring consistency among its interacting dimensions. Second, in the absence of an omniscient central planner, development boils down to joint responsibility for implementing purpose-driven national and regional goals. And third, communications as a tool needs to be placed alongside mainstream development policies, namely similar to intentional economic and social policies. To be provocative, therefore, what if you, the CBU, could buttress the progress achieved so far in advocating for a free and active media with a responsibility to inform and help promote development by influencing the social psyche through the active management of content? What if we could not only passively report on events, but actively help create those events that you would be reporting on? So where does this reflection begin? No doubt, as members of the CBU, you, like the CDB, are also actively considering how your organization can more effectively serve its stakeholders and remain relevant for the next half century and beyond. It is clear to us at the CDB, and I hope to you also, that for any of us to see that milestone, we will have to successfully negotiate the rescue and recovery of our region's economies and the social fabric in the wake of setbacks caused by COVID-19 pandemic. Overcome equally the structural weakness that existed before the pandemic, and reposition our economies to become secure, high productivity, competitive, and resilient economies that our people can confidently choose as the place for living. The COVID-19 pandemic has had a profound impact on CDB's borrowing member countries. Indeed, all but one of these countries suffered contractions in GDP in 2020. And of these, 13 recorded double-digit declines. This translated into significant loss of livelihoods, unemployment, and social dislocation. To a large extent, the significant challenges our region faced prior to the onset of the pandemic became more acute. As we therefore undergo rescue and recovery, we must address those underlying structural challenges that created the vulnerabilities which make our region susceptible to shocks. Ultimately, we must make the region more resilient across 5 foundational dimensions. Specifically, we must foster social resilience, production resilience, financial resilience, environmental resilience, and institutional resilience. While these are all important for systemic integrity, binding constraints require prioritization and a structured approach over time to ensure no dimension is left behind or left unaddressed. This can only be achieved through innovation, which we define as the development and application of ideas and technologies that improve goods and services or make their production more efficient. Let me elaborate these aspects of the dimensions of a healthy development ecosystem before addressing the role of the communication sector in the development process by reference to some topical social issues as examples. So the first element of a healthy development ecosystem is social resilience. This relates to the capacities of individuals, communities, and societies to secure their well-being in the face of challenges, and is ultimately about leaving no one behind. Social resilience speaks to the removal of barriers that might prevent individuals from reaching their full potential. It involves also the ability to obtain an education, to be healthy, and to access services such as water and sanitation. In this regard, there is clearly much progress to be made. The second element of a wholesome development ecosystem is production resilience, which speaks to the ability of a country to withstand or recover from an economic shock. The experience of the region has been that our countries are acutely susceptible to exogenous economic shocks. Indeed, the vulnerability drag or persistence and duration of the impact of shocks has been higher in our countries than in other small states. If we consider the impact of the previous global shock, that's the Great Recession of 2008, we observe that after declining in 2009, it took 4 years for the total real GDP of countries in our region to reach the 2008 level. Significantly, 2 countries are yet to return to that real level of GDP. 1 country took 10 years, 3 took 9 years, and 1 took 8 years. By contrast, and using the United Nations definition of small states, total GDP in other small states did not fall at all in 2009. So building production resilience will require that our region take steps to increase competitiveness and promote innovation to spur economic diversification. The third component of the development ecosystem I refer to is financial resilience, which relates to building financial buffers, ensuring assets, strong financial management, using risk transfer instruments, and taking cognizance of risks. Given the exposure of financial and non-financial assets in the region to shocks, financial resilience is critical to the overall development ecosystem. The fourth element of the ecosystem is environmental resilience. Our region is among the most susceptible to natural hazard events and the impacts of climate change. Natural hazard events disrupt lives and livelihoods and erode the development gains that the region has made. At the same time that the region lags comparator country groups, natural hazard events set back development even further by destroying social and economic capital while also reducing the productivity of such capital. The fifth element of resilience is institutional resilience, which has to do with the institutional capacity to drive and sustain development. Institutions govern the rules by which interactions take place in society. In a 2002 study, Roderick et al. Assessed institutions as the most significant determinant of the difference in development across countries. Protection of property rights, effective law enforcement, and efficient bureaucracies, together with a wide spectrum of civic mores, and norms, have been found to exert strong causation on development over time. While we speak openly of the roles of government, of the private sector, of the international and regional institutions like the CDB in the process of development, we have not emphasized adequately, in my opinion, the critical role that the communications community in this region has to play in our development journey. And I just want to emphasize this. I've talked about resilience across 5 dimensions, and I'm indicating that now communication sector needs to have a more pivotal, critical role to play in the process of development. So that's the text and the theme that I want to speak a little about today. So development will not be achieved merely through the crafting of plans and policies. It will require disciplined implementation and accountability, which in turn implies a change in the social psyche towards adopting a growth mindset. This is where you as communications practitioners come in. This sector must own the responsibility of being integral to the development objectives and agenda of our region and align its messaging accordingly. Your role should transcend the reporting on events of development. I would argue that it should include the ability to highlight the necessities and explain the implications of events in a manner that can influence change in the psyche of our people. In essence, you need to be in the forefront supporting and promoting concepts of economic growth, stability, and social cohesion that are necessary for the continued development of our region. To effect this vision, we need partnership and joint responsibility, forging ahead together to achieve purpose-driven goals. As the fourth estate, the media's role in promoting inclusive growth and development is well understood. The literature is replete with studies indicating the nexus between the media and desirable development outcomes, such as good governance, improved economic efficiency and stability, enhanced social cohesion, and environmental resilience. Our present reality, however, demands an enhanced approach And we can start by reimagining how we tell our stories. Let me illustrate in a couple of topical areas, specifically education and youth development. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated the challenges facing our region's entire education sector. Before the pandemic, the Caribbean was already dealing with issues affecting the quality, equity, efficiency, and effectiveness of its education systems. With the spread of the disease, more than 6.6 million students and almost 230,000 teachers have been impacted by school closures, interruptions in learning, and the postponement, cancellation, or revision of examinations. This loss has been more profound for students from disadvantaged socioeconomic circumstances, persons with disabilities, and those who were already experiencing learning deficits before the onset of the pandemic. Estimates of learning loss in various jurisdictions range from 6 to 16 months, depending on the severity and frequency of lockdowns, the inability of households to provide the basic means for children to participate meaningfully in online learning, and the unpreparedness of education systems. The cumulative impact of this deficit, unless arrested and reversed, could result in cumulative underachievement and a generation of learners failing to realize the educational potential. So the question is, how can the communication sector assist in bridging the digital divide and help promote an expansive online presence that can reach students with limited access to education services? I suggest consideration of a partnership with the education sector, through which learning can harness the multimodal delivery tools in the communication sector to broaden reach across cohorts of students and even overcome the estimated 16-month learning loss from COVID-19. This type of partnership, for example, can facilitate the replicative teaching of mathematics across several school jurisdictions using the same best practice pedagogy pioneered by our most gifted mathematics teachers. The second area I want to touch on is youth development. According to 2020 estimates, over 40% of the population, our population, is less than 24 years old. Reports on this group, which make up our region's youth, often focus on the disproportionate representation among the poorest and most vulnerable and on their involvement in antisocial activities. They are more often portrayed negatively rather than positively in communities, in youth-targeted interventions, and in the media. This deficit model of youth development views them as problems to be managed. The negative stereotypes of their behaviors and attitudes often undersell the fact that this group also represents young people who are energetic, creative, and innovative, and who have a pivotal role to play in societal transformation. So providing an enabling environment for the full realization of youth rights and capabilities is, in our mind, essential for self-actualization and helping the region leverage a demographic dividend as well as achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. At our recently concluded annual meeting that took place in June of this year, we had a virtual youth forum that had by far the most viewership, engagement, and participation among all the seminars that we put on. The success of this event can be attributed to the direct involvement of youth in the design and implementation of the forum, the positive messages and stories that were discussed, and the desire of young people to participate in the development process. As you are aware, the media plays a critical role in shaping youth ideas and beliefs. As such, you have a huge responsibility to present content that is balanced and purposive, promoting an approach where young people are recognized for their strengths, their capabilities, and their resources. Another area which I believe requires your immediate attention is gender-based violence. Over the past year, the world has witnessed a rise in gender-based violence cases, which many now refer to as the shadow pandemic. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the Caribbean was already experiencing above average rates of gender-based violence. And the 2021 Status of Men and Women report for the Caribbean has highlighted that these incidents have increased significantly with the pandemic. If unaddressed, this problem will continue to cripple our socio-economic conditions and stifle economic growth. Again, the media can be a significant partner for protecting the rights of vulnerable populations. It can provide thought leadership, it can set the regional policy agenda, and can influence public perceptions on gender-based violence. This translates to raising awareness and informing on the social and economic implications of such issues. It also means creating insights that can educate the public and debunk myths while shaping positive attitudes and behaviors that can eventually eliminate gender-based violence. Let me turn briefly now to some thoughts on the importance of the whole transformation agenda for your core business. Over the last 2 decades, traditional media has faced an array of challenges and opportunities stemming from the digital revolution. From social networks to mobile applications and virtual realities, the digital shift has triggered major change in business, politics, society, and culture. And traditional media has been significantly impacted by the changing trends. Reflection on changes expected in the future and repositioning to be fit for purpose is probably inescapable. Undertaking, therefore, your own digital transformation will likely imply changes in mindset and organizational culture to reconfigure your business models and build digital competencies. Beyond process adaptation, opportunities for innovation can arise in challenging the limits arising from national boundaries and embracing unlimited boundaries arising from digital transformation. I refer here to opportunities for e-commerce, for creating and transmitting content to audiences that access multiple channels through internet connectivity, more affordable mobile technology, and digital and social media. As you are equally aware, the ease and accessibility of technology has created countless individual content and media producers who are competing with large professional media outfits for audience share and attention. So product innovation, early mover advantage, and niche markets will feature in this sector's positioning for the future. Adaptation and agility will also be critical. As a case in point, Spaces, the Twitter-based audio streaming platform, was used by the 2 main political parties in St. Lucia to host audio town hall meetings during the campaign for the recent general election. The pivoting from radio broadcasts recognize that social media platforms have proved to be more effective in reaching millennials and Generation Z audiences. It also serves to highlight the growing role of evidence-based analysis in decision-making. It appears, therefore, that your own transformation will need to balance evolving needs of audiences, which are pointing to timely, accurate, credible, and easily digestible and visually impactful content. Needless to add that you will, through these innovations, contribute to economic diversification and economic growth in the region. In closing, let me address one final point, namely the relationship between CDB and the regional media. I see numerous opportunities for and would like to invite you to partner in enhancing our collaboration. There is scope for supporting capacity building to help the media develop a better understanding of issues affecting development and to improve the reporting and analysis of development financing. CDB also wants to encourage increased reporting on the work of regional organizations with quality content that will foster greater cohesion within the Caribbean community. We are therefore eager to partner equally in providing training to upskill reporters, editors, and content creators to more effectively utilize digital channels for presenting development and financial data in engaging ways. The CBU, as a leading pan-Caribbean medium, has an important role, we believe, to play in raising awareness of key regional issues, highlighting national and regional accomplishments for positive reinforcement, and in promoting dialogue between leaders and citizens. Indeed, you are very well placed to bring together various diverse groups, be they in my country, Vieux Fort in St. Lucia, or in Mandeville in Jamaica, or for that matter, the wider diaspora. Your track record in deepening the integration process must equally be lauded. And some of the content created for viewership across the region, such as CaribScope, Caribbean Newsline, and Talk Caribbean, are highly rated programs. However, your audiences now expect and demand enticing intercommunication experiences. There is ample room, therefore, for a deeper partnership between the media and regional organizations like the CDB. Our efforts must not cease in advocating regional development and the deepening of regional integration. So let today's event be the start of a regular dialogue on how we can be more effective in our service to the people and institutions of the Caribbean. I thank you.